near the pool, a big blue beach umbrella shading his head. His meaty right hand was wrapped around a frosted glass containing equal parts vodka and tomato juice. Clenched in his left hand, in the V created by two thick fingers, was a cigar. He wore white swim trunks with a red stripe down the side, and partially covering his broad chest and substantial gut was an unbuttoned aloha shirt patterned with red hibiscuses. His hair was white and full, his legs were white, thick, and hairless, and his large bare feet were pale. DeMarco thought he looked like a beluga whale that had crashed a luau. "It's about time you got here," Mahoney said. This complaint was typical of Mahoney. There he was, lying under an umbrella, drinking, doing nothing, while DeMarco had been forced to drive 70 miles in heavy traffic because his boss hadn't wanted to talk over the phone. Or maybe Mahoney just didn't want to hold the phone, as this could have interrupted his drinking and smoking. Nor did Mahoney offer DeMarco a seat or a drink. This breach of etiquette could have occurred because Mahoney was oblivious to the creature comforts of his subordinates, or it could have been because DeMarco looked impervious to such ailments as dehydration and heat stroke. DeMarco's forefathers were Italian, and his features reflected his heritage. He was 5'11", with heavy shoulders and strong arms. He combed his dark hair straight back, and the first strands of gray were just beginning to appear at the temples. He had a handsome face, but a hard one, and if Francis Ford Coppola had been casting extras for Godfather 4, he would have hired DeMarco on the spot. So DeMarco stood there in front of Mahoney's lounge chair, squinting into the midday sun. It was the 1st of September, and the temperature was in the low 80s. As he waited for Mahoney to tell him why he'd been summoned, he glanced up at the large house in the background. DeMarco didn't know who had loaned his boss the use of the mansion with its pool and its magnificent view of Chesapeake Bay, but he suspected it was someone trying to curry his favor. DeMarco wondered if that same person had loaned Mahoney the woman he could see in the window. The woman, lithe and tanned, was in her 30s, and she was walking back and forth in front of a large picture window, talking on a cell phone. The only thing she was wearing was a black bikini bottom the size of a stripper's G-string. Her bare breasts, from a distance of 50 yards, were flawless. Mahoney swiveled his thick neck to see what DeMarco was looking at. "Yeah, she's a character," he said. "And in case you're having impure thoughts, she's not with me. She's the girlfriend of the guy who owns the house." Impure thoughts. A Catholic sinner's expression, and DeMarco bet that Mahoney had been confessing to that particular transgression from the time he was a pudgy altar boy. But was he lying about the woman? DeMarco didn't know. He doubted if God knew, and the fact that Mahoney could lie so nimbly was not surprising. He was a politician. John Fitzpatrick Mahoney was the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, third in line for the Oval Office if both the President and Vice President were unable to serve. A truly terrifying thought in DeMarco's opinion. "Hey, stop looking at her tits and pay attention," Mahoney said. DeMarco reluctantly shifted his gaze back to Mahoney's blue eyes, the red-veined eyes of a dedicated drinker. "There's a guy," Mahoney said. "An old buddy of mine, an ex-congressman from Virginia. His name's Dick Finley, and he retired about 10 years ago. Anyway, a week ago his son died in some kind of weird accident, and Dick wants somebody to look into it." "Does he need a lawyer?" DeMarco asked. "I mean, is he planning to sue somebody?" DeMarco had asked the question not because he cared about the answer, but because he had just looked up at the mansion again, and he wanted to keep looking. The young woman was still on the phone, but this time she saw DeMarco staring at her. She turned to face him, so he was treated to a full frontal view, and then she smiled and wiggled her fingers at him. She was so firm nothing else wiggled. He bet Mahoney was lying. Mahoney snorted in response to DeMarco's question. "If he needed a lawyer, Joe, I wouldn't have given him your name." DeMarco was offended.